Welcome to RGV On the Rise, a limited series podcast about the economy and opportunities of Hidalgo County, the Rio Grande Valley, and South Texas. Please say hello to today's guest.
Hidalgo County continues to deal with a large stray animal population that creates unsafe conditions for both residents and the animals themselves. We're joined today by Tina Lewis with the Animal Welfare Alliance to discuss this issue. Welcome, Tina.
Thank you.
Let's start by me asking you what exactly the Animal Welfare Alliance is.
Well, we're a grassroots movement of citizens that are concerned with the stray population. So we gathered together and started discussing our options, and one of them was an animal care fund to where we could provide spay and neuter for the citizens of Hidalgo County. And the people that are involved have an array of experience with animal care. One member has been on the board of low-cost spay and neuter. One has been with Mission Animal Shelter Advisory Board. Several of us have been volunteers at Palm Valley, and several have been employees at Palm Valley. So we all have a vast experience of what is actually going on.
And what is the key objective with your group?
For people to accept that there is a need for spay and neuter and to provide for them an option of the animal care fund where we would have a $2 fee on everyone's water bill, and that money would be pulled together and provide no additional cost for unlimited spay and neuters.
Okay. We'll delve into that a little bit deeper later, but I want to talk about the stray animal population itself. Now, how significant is the problem in Hidalgo County?
It's overwhelming.
Oh.
Yes. With Palm Valley, last year they took in almost 7,000 dogs and cats. Wow. And you think, so what, 7,000? But we have 22 cities in Hidalgo County, and out of the 22 cities, only 5 contract with Palm Valley. So 17 cities are not involved in bringing their animals to Palm Valley. And several of the 5, they bring in just a limited number. So the main people that bring in animals to Palm Valley are Edinburgh and McAllen in the county of Hidalgo. So we've got all these stray animals in 17 cities.
And to what do you attribute this sizable animal population?
Not prioritizing. People do not prioritize the need for spay and neuter. If the female gets pregnant and they go, oh, well, that's what happens. We don't have the money, but you need to prioritize. Then also there's the cost. We need to provide more low-cost spay and neuters. Right now we have 2, which is RGV, low-cost spay and neuter on Hackberry. Then we have another one that's called Texas Wellness spay and neuter that's on Ware Road, both of them in McAllen.
Okay. And how does this stray population impact the community?
Well, the way I look at that situation, if I was looking to purchase a new home and I went through the neighborhood and saw dogs and cats all over, they're not kept in the backyard, go down a main street close to that subdivision, I would go, I don't want to live there. They're not being responsible. And I would also think that a new business coming to the valley would also look at that situation going, do we really want to move down here? We want to move where people take care of their animals, are responsible.
Okay. And what does it mean for the animals themselves?
It's horrible.
Yeah.
The animals, when they have no home, they have no home with food, then they're always searching for their their next meal. And that makes them susceptible to coyotes because we have coyotes now running through all the neighborhoods. And also, it leaves them open to animal abuse. We have a lot of that going on where animals that are living kind of out in the country, there's people that are taking advantage of that and doing mean things. So we really need to eliminate.
And I can imagine the opposite occurring too. You get a pack of dogs. I'm assuming they become dangerous.
Yes, they can. Yeah, they're on Nextdoor app. There are people saying, "Whose dogs are these?" And they're just roaming and attack and kill cats. So that also is a concern.
So, what are some of the simple everyday actions that residents can take to help reduce this stray population?
Well, it's also spay and neuter. You have to
Comes down to that.
It's spay and neuter. Also, it's microchipping. We need to have it just mandatory microchip. Microchip is the voice for the animal. It will tell someone immediately, I belong at this home. And so that person doesn't have to get stressed out if they find a dog on the side of the road and they know it doesn't belong there. They will stop going, okay, I know it has to have a microchip, so they'll get it scanned and be able to take it back to their home. Also, it's mending fences. Their fences are broken down and they let the dog out to go to the restroom and then the dog leaves. And don't let your dogs out in the front yard to use the restroom and go back inside. That is a number one problem on Nextdoor app. People will go, I lost my dog this morning because I let it out to go restroom in the front yard and I went back out 10 minutes later and it was gone.
So you mentioned there's 2 spay and neutering facilities. For a county with a population of 1 million people, is that enough?
No, not at all. Not at all. We need one like, I would say, in every city. And some of them are small, maybe not every city, but, low-cost spay and neuter, But the problem with that is getting vets to come down here. That is our number one problem.
Does that suggest there's a shortage of veterinary care?
They don't want to come down here because of the way the animals are treated. One of the vets that I talked to that was doing just a little internship at Low Cost Spay and Neuter, he was from California, and he said he broke his contract ahead of time because he said even the animals that are owned come in here and they're covered with fleas and ticks. And he goes, I just don't understand it. He goes, people would have been in jail elsewhere. They maintain their animal care like that. So it's like we need to step that up down here.
Are there any other local initiatives that shelters or volunteer programs can help to alleviate this issue? What is the term when you adopt, but
to foster and stuff like. Well, what you can do is always money. Money helps.
Okay.
One of the things that I had suggested with Palm Valley is that they make it available for people who want to donate but don't have a lot of money, have some type of program to where people can sign up for an automatic debit on their checking account if it's $1, $5, $10. Because that $1 is so valuable, it goes a long, long ways. If you get 10,000 people to donate $1 a month, you've got 120,000 at the end of the year that you would never have. And then it's also going to the shelter, volunteering, walking dogs. The dogs get bored sitting inside the kennels, walk them. You can take photographs. You can work in the office. There's all kinds of things that you can do.
I think inevitably all of us have encountered a stray animal walking down the street looking lost. What would you recommend we do as citizens who see an animal in trouble and needing help?
First thing is secure them. Try to get a leash, get them into your car, your backyard, your house. Second would be scan for a microchip. That would be the next step. And then it would be put up big signs. Because not everyone uses the internet. like if I wasn't involved with animals, I would never know about Paw Boost or Petco Love Lost, any of those websites. So I wouldn't look on the internet if I found a dog. So put up big signs, and then you can post on these different websites like Paw Boost is a popular one, and the Petco Love Lost. Palm Valley likes Petco Love Lost.
What is that? If you could explain.
It's a website that you can post that I found a dog and put a picture of the dog, where you found it, all the information, and people can go to that site and look for their lost dog. And a lot of times they get reunited that way.
Now, you said earlier that you're a grassroots organization. I'm just wondering what efforts beyond spay and neuter that you're undertaking to try to mitigate the stray animal population.
Well, our plan was to go from city to city, and we were discussing who we were going to go to first. And then I discovered we had 22 cities in Hidalgo, and some of them might not like a group of people coming in, giving them ideas, might not be receptive to it. So we thought, well, why not go to Judge Cortez, who oversees Hidalgo County, to where possibly he could call in all the cities at one time with a workshop and discuss it, the animal care fund, with them. And people can brainstorm on whether they think it will work or it won't. But bottom line, they need to come up with some idea that all of the cities can agree on and do at one time, because one city doing spay and neuter and then the next door city not doing spay and neuter kind of defeats the purpose.
You mentioned 22 different cities. I'm assuming the potential for 22 different city ordinances, which can be problematic too, correct?
Well, it would be really, each one would have to do their own city ordinance, because they would have to get their representative to take it to the state legislative to also have it passed in a House bill. In order to get the money put into the water bill, it has to have a little sentence changed so they can take it back out for that sole purpose. So each representative would have to do a little House bill.
Now, you had said earlier there, part of the problem with this stray animal population may very well be cultural. And that seems like a huge challenge in comparison to passing legislation, frankly. Is there something beyond spay and neuter that the Animal Care Fund is hoping to accomplish? Are there cultural changes, perhaps, in a horizon that you think are necessary?
Oh, there has to be. There's always been a problem with getting male dogs neutered, because people go, "Oh, you're not making you're taking away their aggressiveness, their guard dog, that we need them for." And it's like, no, that doesn't change anything. It just keeps them at your house, because when they're not neutered, they sniff that female in heat and off they go. And you might not ever see that dog again. But if they're neutered, they stay at your house. But that is something that needs to be addressed. But it's like life. Everything changes, and you have to just educate people.
I imagine, too, there's cultural misconceptions. I've always grew up hearing that a female needs to have a litter before she's neutered. And is that a misconception?
I think so. I've heard of it, but none of my vets have ever said, has she had a litter? I think people, they want to make sure that she experiences the litter of puppies. She doesn't need to. She's not going to miss it. Yeah. And we don't need all those little puppies or kittens.
Anything else you see in terms of what the Animal Care Fund can do with regard to the stray population?
Well, there's a whole list of things that, when the Animal Care Fund starts, okay, you're going to have to hit the ground running with spay and neuter, spay and neuter, spay and neuter. But within less than 2 years, you're going to see such a difference. Example, when Best Friends was down here with Palm Valley, when they received a $1 million grant from Petco, best friends came down to monitor the grant money, and they started the TNR program, Trap, Neuter, and Return for cats. And within less than 2 years, they were actually calling me at Mission Animal Shelter and asking me to bring some of our cats to Palm Valley. And we didn't even have a contract with them. And so I said, okay, I'll start bringing 7 a week. And that shows you how quickly it changes the environment.
Now, the objective of this fund is to create a low-cost or free spay and neuter program. I'm just wondering how much it costs for an individual animal to get spayed or neutered.
It varies from vet to vet on the cost, but with the Animal Care Fund, it was $150 an animal that would come out of the Animal Care Fund per each animal, regardless if they were a male, female, pregnant, something was, incorrect with the male, it would be $150. And that would include the spay and neuter, the rabies shot, the vaccine, and the ear clipping if they were a feral cat, and a microchip. So the whole package is done, and you would walk out the door not owing a penny, because it would all be from the Animal Care Fund that you pay monthly.
And so the individual could bring in 1, 2, 10 animals and walk away without it.
They can get that many on the list with the Animal Balance login, yes. And you can't stop. If you have a lot of animals, you need to get them all done. So, you might have some done this one month, and then the next month try to get the balance of them on the list. Just keep on going until they're all spay neutered.
Any final thoughts, Tina?
We just would like people to be open to the idea of this Animal Care Fund. I know when they hear a fee on their water bill, they're going, no, we already pay enough. But this is so simple. It's an inexpensive way to have your animals spay and neutered at no additional cost. And so we'd like people to be open and talk about it. Let's talk about it. If you can come up with a better idea or a suggestion, let's all talk about it and come up with a solution.
Excellent. Tina Lewis with the Animal Welfare Alliance, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.